Hey, how's it going? This is Trey with Straight Ed Samples. We're looking at my favorite soprano today, which is our soprano saxophone library. Kind of rounding out our solo wind instruments, our smart delay, jazz-centric solo wind instruments, starting with Birth of the Trumpet and now leading us all the way to the soprano saxophone. So we've pretty much covered every wind instrument in the jazz genre, more or less. And there might be some additions, maybe a bass clarinet someday, maybe some other things like that. But more or less, this feels like we're kind of rounding out this package. There's 10 horns here. You can see them all right here, actually. But today we're just talking about my favorite soprano. So with this instrument, you actually get two different NKIs. If you look here, we have Greenwich Village Soprano and Storyville Soprano. So we're just going to take a quick look and look at the features, listen to how it sounds. And yeah, so let's dive right in. So Greenwich Village, if we pull this one up first, it's a sort of your more workhorse, sort of modern jazz soprano sound. So since the, I can't remember which we started on, but maybe the flute, I think we started recording real vibrato and modulation vibrato. So that was the performed real vibrato. We can hear the dynamics on this one. So going all the way down. And then all the way up to... So that was mod wheel vibrato. Here's the real vibrato. Cool. So, yeah, so that's Greenwich Village. And, all this stuff is the same as before. You can obviously turn the vibrato on. You can do mod wheel versus key velocity dynamics. I tend to like it on mod wheel, but we've noticed that using it with like a notation program, seems like key velocity often works a lot better that way. So there's lots of situations where you might want to change that. Obviously you got your legato, your different articulations showing here. We have all the same ones pretty much. Staccatos, staccatissimo, tongued, forte piano, two different trills, falls, long falls, scoops, doits, flops, rips, glisses, half-step bends, crescendos, and hairpins. So these are all the same in pretty much all the libraries. Yeah, so the articulations are more or less the same. We've got, if you click on the sound panel here, we've got our reverb. Just kind of a real nice sounding reverb, simple. So you got something good out of the box. We got the tape samples. We got the room, which we talk about a lot, which is a nice sound to blend with the close mic. So it's kind of nice to just have a little... We always talk about how if you want to project volume, like a really loud saxophone or any instrument really, having a little bit of that room in there at the fortissimo dynamics when you've got the mod wheel cranked, you just feel a little more of the volume if you have just a touch of this. But in some older styles, and we'll maybe talk about this when we get to the Storyville, you might even favor the room just because that might be the style. But so you got your room, you've got your bleed mic, which is our mic we have that's meant to emulate the sound of like mics on other instruments, and your saxophone is bleeding into those. So that's a nice kind of a mixing tip we use a lot, and we talk about panning. You turning this on and panning it. It can be a really useful sound. So you got your bleed, you've got your room, your tape samples, which is everything run, to a tape machine and back. And then the controls here are the same pretty much as always. You get your vibrato controls. Just to be clear, when you're on real vibrato, and this goes for Storyville as well, or any of our instruments, this doesn't do anything, right? The real vibrato is just what they played. But if you're on modulation vibrato, then you've got control of the amount, the speed. So we can go down slow. So that's if you're on modulation vibrato. You'll have some control. And then when you switch it into smart delay, some things change. You got your terminal vibrato, which basically the vibrato starts from the end of the note. You've got your swing accent, which adds a little dynamic interest to certain phrases based on the phrase. So our smart delay is obviously a big part of the sound, and maybe we'll come back and we'll show both instruments in smart delay. Let's pull up Storyville, and maybe we'll just make this omni and solo. So this is our more old time New Orleans style of soprano sax playing, and that kind of Sidney Bechet style. So this obviously has a very heavy vibrato all the time. It's a very specific style, and you're not going to want it for everything. But it's really cool and really useful and really inspiring to have this one in the mix. So it was a fun one to record, and it's super fun to play with. And it's just, give your tracks some interest, some, a sound that, you're not normally going to hear. So it's pretty cool. You can actually turn the vibrato off, or you can use the modulation vibrato, like we just showed in the other one, and get kind of a more quote unquote normal sound. But that's kind of not the vibe of it. I mean, you're welcome to, if you like the timbre of it and you just want to use it kind of as a normal thing. Realize though that when you're in smart delay, some of the eighth notes, some of the shorter notes that we recorded, in the way we record things, they're just playing in real time. Some of those are going to have that faster vibrato baked into just how they're played. But so that's that. And then all this stuff is basically the same stuff: tape mic, room mic, bleed mic, all the same settings here. And articulation wise, it's also exactly the same: staccato, tongued, forte piano. We got trills, falls, long falls, scoops, doits, flops. Let's hear a doit. Doits, fun. Rips, half-step bends, crescendos, hairpins. So same story as all the other instruments and as Greenwich Village. They're both the same layout. So maybe let's just real quickly show each of them. Maybe we'll play a phrase and hear what they both sound like playing the same phrase. You can get an idea of the timbre, and you can get an idea of the sound in smart delay, which is where our instruments really shine. Okay, so let's go back to Greenwich in real time. Okay, I think I know what I'm doing here. Let's turn the room off. Just keep it clean. Okay, let's see. Okay, so nice simple little phrase there. Let's see. For all our sakes, I'll just quantize it, and then this is my in Logic shift backslash makes things legato. Real important with repeated notes to get them close together, but obviously not overlapping. So now let's just put Smart Delay on and see what it sounds like. Let's make sure we're in. So your basic legato key switch is C0. So let's just see what it sounds like. Nice. So let's put it back on real vibrato. We'll check it out in a couple dynamics. I'll turn the mod wheel all the way down. Let's see what it sounds like actually. Let's just record a mod wheel in, or we'll just draw it in. Okay, so low dynamics now. Let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so what I'm imagining here, I'm pretty much hearing it every time, would be a fall on this last note. So let me just put this G sharp is the fall key switch. We can hear the difference. Let's do a real short fall. Here, I'll turn the dynamics up sort of to medium. Oh, I gotta do it from here. Let's hear kind of middle of the road dynamics with a fall. Right? And then you can goose up the dynamics there, and you'll get a longer fall on that note. So that one's subtle. He played them almost exactly the same, but it is slightly shorter there. Another thing is on long notes like that, where you kind of jumping down to this long note, this B flat here. A little forte piano goes a long way. It kind of stings the note a little bit. This E key switch. Let's jump back and hear it in context. Pretty nice. So, what else would I do? Maybe I would just do a little run into this first note. So the D key switch gives us a little run to into the first note. Pretty nice. Yeah, little things to notice I always talk about, but just to point them out here, these short notes here, they're just played short. There's no key switches, but they are triggering actual staccato samples, right? So there's not just a shortened sustain, it's an actual staccato sample with no key switch. And so that's pretty cool. The repeated notes, you know, it's so hard to do, actually playing from one note to the same note again, especially with wind instruments, the way the air has to flow. Another cool little thing you can notice, especially at the lower dynamics, if we turn this down a little bit, you can hear a lot of breath and breathing in between the notes, right? So this is one of the things that Smart Delay affords us, is that we can hear these sounds that the performer just did when they played. They just took a breath to play the note. We can hear it, especially between these short notes. Pretty cool. I think I actually heard it more at the louder dynamics. Let's see. Yeah. So that was cool. You could hear like deep breaths in between those. So just those subtle things that add the realism. It's really just the nature of the way we record. They're just playing in real time, so you capture all that stuff sort of incidentally. Let's hear what it sounds like with Storyville. We'll take off all the key switches. And so same exact MIDI going to Storyville. We'll start with kind of the middle of the road dynamic. See how that sounds. We'll put that fall back in. This one doesn't need the forte pianos as much because it's kind of has that attack. Let's see what this little run. It'll be kind of a. They're more kind of smears. Let's try a couple other things. What if we put a fall here? So an inner fall, we always think about putting a fall at the end of a phrase, but you can put it in the middle of a phrase. If I start one, so this D flat will have one now. I'll start it just from here. So yeah, we recorded falls in the middle of a phrase, so it just kind of has a little bend down. And then what if we do the reverse here? Let's do a little scoop up to this F. So a little scoop. Yeah. Let's hear maybe the longer version of the ending fall. See how that sounds. Yeah, a little more to it there. Maybe another dynamic just for good measure. Let's hear it real quiet. See how it feels super quiet. Yeah, lots of breath and air in that one. Let's hear it forte. So that's just a quick and dirty example showing the two different sopranos playing the same stuff. You can get a good idea of how you might want to use them. Yeah, so that's my favorite soprano. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.